So the order of operations today for loading our Brown Besses for trap shooting is we're going to start with a 90 grain powder charge, which is what the reenactors actually shoot on the field. So we've got a lot of them pre-rolled. So Mike. And then we've got a cushion wad, which has been pre-lubed this morning in lard. Mike. And then we're going to use a fairly heavy charge, which I pre-measured in an old shotgun shell of 1 3/8 ounces of various sizes of shot. And then we're going to top it off with an overshot card. Perfect. And then for today's process, we're going to get everybody loaded first. And then we're going to, as the person shoots, he goes to the back of the line, gets reloaded by Mr. Fulton, and we just keep the circle going. So we're set. So a couple of things about the clay birds. These are recovered from trap ranges. So some of them will break. So don't get over anxious when it goes out. If it breaks, don't take the shot, because you're not going to hit it. It's going to go into 2 pieces, sometimes 3. So I get them for free, so you can shoot as many as these want. So as it goes off the thrower, if it breaks, just take a breath. I'll reload, fire another one out. So I've set the thrower as slow as I can make it go, and I can position the bird so that it's going to go straight out from you. So the idea, if you've how many here have shot trap? Anyone? 1. Okay, very good. So the bird's going to go out like this, and it's going to curve one way or the other depending on which way it's in the thrower. Ideally, you get it going straight away from you, but if it's curving, you can still take the shot. But as soon as that bird starts to lose its momentum and fall, if you haven't taken the shot, just let it go. Keep your charge. I'll load it again, because once it's dropping fast, and to get below it far enough. And for sighting, you've got a single bead, like your lug for your bayonet. So that's your only sight. What you want to do as the bird goes out is get that lug just below the bird. You want to see the bird above the barrel. Okay, we've got quite a hodgepodge of living historians here. We've got some Glengarrys, Glengarry in the backdrop here. We've got some 49th. We've got some 1837 Rebellion fellas here. We've got a native fellow over here. We're well represented, but we're doing something that typically we don't do at reenactments, and that's live shooting. So trap this morning, round ball this afternoon at Gong's. And so for safety, what we're going to do is everybody's loaded now. Nobody's primed. So we're going to prime at the station just for safety. And the long grass you see here, nobody goes beyond that, and everybody's going to stay on that side of the shooting. Right? Any questions? So what I want you to think when you're about to take the shot is, let's say you're on a historic trek and you haven't eaten for 3 days and a grouse flushes. And if you make that shot properly, you're going to eat for the first time in 3 days. And if you don't, maybe that's the only grouse you see, right? So I want to think, oh, I forgot we got ladies here as well. I forgot the ladies. Okay. Parasols, parasols in tow. That's going to be grand today. Yeah. Okay, so everybody set? Yep. So we're all going to move back that way, except for our Glengarry, Mr. Max here, and he's going to be first up, okay? And Dave's going to, the process I guess will be Dave is going to, as Max shoots, he's going to go to the back of the line. Dave's going to get him loaded. So we'll always have people shooting. Right from then, drop the barrel and start looking. Remember, only when it's going up. So a couple of things. When the bird's going out, if it's optimal shot is when it's straight away from you. And I've got it slow and I've got it going straight away from you. It's going to curl one way or the other. If it curls, that's where follow through is essential. So you're just under it, just seeing the bead, but you spray it. You're taking that shot, it goes out like that, and you're making it go out like that, right? So that's one thing. The other thing, priming, most people over prime a gun. That priming pan should be 1/3 full. That's all it takes, and you can even push it a little to the outside, right? And for reenacting, we often don't pick each charge, obviously. But for hunting purposes, you want to pick that powder charge you've got in the tube, because you're making a channel for a quick fire. get some more instantaneous fire. Okay, so let's have a pick of yours, Dave, and we'll charge you up. I think I bent your...
Oh, I can bend your back.
So we've got the vent hole pick, which gives us that nice channel. And like I say, we only need a little dab of charge. We're also using 4F, which you don't have to. Like Bob and I probably strictly use 2F powder for our bigger bore guns, and we use that for everything. We don't carry a separate thing. We use a powder horn and a measure, and we're using 2F for everything. And a lot of people say that won't work, but we've never had an issue, have we, Bob? No. What I've done is I've actually dialed this thing down so it's going to be as slow as I can possibly make it, and I'm going to try to throw them as straight away from you as possible. So it's not going to go out like that or like on some obscure angle. It's going to go pretty much straight ahead of you. And again, if it breaks, don't take the shot. If you don't like it and just don't feel comfortable, just let the bird go. Lots of birds. Nice. Woohoo. Damn! Damn! Yeah! Girl, you eating tonight. That's a dead partridge. Well done. Nice, nice. Well done. Nice, nice. Hey, we end on a good note. Good job. Matchlock or an arquebus. And you notice the crude, and instead of carvings, it's got some paintings on it. Notice how crude the stock is. Well, Bob's built, what, 40 guns?
43 now.
43, and almost built the one I'm working on. But so you try to be meticulous, eh? Bob said the hardest thing he had in building this thing was to try to not make it pretty, because they weren't. They were crudely cut and shaped. You know, nothing wood metal fit was horrible. So you have an authentic looking piece that would be
it's like a 2x4.
a 2x4 with a tube on it, or an arquebus. Yeah, is that how you say, Max, in French? Exactly. Arquebus. Okay. And Bob's going to see if
learn how to make match cord.
We're going to see if Bob can hit a clay bird with it. Tell them, Bob, about the match cord. This is interesting.
So what you need to do, it was a learning process, because I had heard you soak the match cord in potassium nitrate or whatever, and I tried that, but it burns very fast. So I found out from some other research that what they did was you take wood ash and make basically lye water. So you boil the ash in water, strain it out, and then I soak this cord in that
fluid,
in that material, in that water, and it breaks down the material. There's some sort of reaction that causes it to stay lit and burn with a very hot ember. And it doesn't burn, like, it's about, a reasonable amount, an inch every 10 minutes or something like that. So yeah, it's really interesting. So there's no potassium nitrate, there's no, throw a little black powder in the water or anything like that. It's strictly just treating it with the ash water.
And now Bob's going to dust a clay bird.
Well, we'll see. First,
we've had a few hits today, so we're all going to be eating ruffed grouse for supper. Yeah. Maybe an odd duck thrown in.
This is a little bit awkward because from a safety standpoint, I have this horn on the left side because I usually carry it on my right side, but with this Matchlock, I just feel a little safer with it on this side. So priming is a wee bit of a hassle. I mean, they used to carry bottles of powder charges, and they'd have a separate one here for priming. So perhaps I'll get to that point, but so this being primed, and you can see there's a safety cover here. So that would be like that. And then we have to set the match.
Crucial where it's set to
It's
the length of it.
absolutely crucial. And test to make sure that you're going to hit the pan.
And then you mentioned, Bob, it has a safety on it. Maybe you could show that.
The safety is here, I mean, for what it's worth, but this is a tiller, it's not a trigger, so it goes back to crossbows.
Yeah,
And then
that's
just the block so that you can't
fire it.
fire it.
So if you're walking through the bush hunting, you would have this like that. You see the bird, you flip that forward, you slide that
You have
forward,
to open this,
and then you're ready to shoot.
and now,
Boom.
see, you're hitting the pan.
Classic.
So that's crucial. And you have to tend the match constantly because obviously as this is burning,
It's
you have to
getting
advance
shorter.
it. So from a standpoint of, I imagine a sentry. They must have gone
Constantly.
through just like yards and yards and
in the
miles
night,
of
in the
it
night, yeah,
over the course of the year.
yeah, for sure. Classic.
And under the warfare conditions, you'd like both of the ends of the match,
Oh, really? So in case one went
just in
out,
case.
you had the backup. Classic. Thanks, Bob.
Another interesting point is that with the treated match cord, it's extremely difficult to put that out. So either you dunk it in water or else I'll just cut it off and let it burn itself out. But trying to extinguish this is very difficult.
Don't squeeze it like a candle wick.
No, that won't work.
It's gonna leave a mark. Bazoo! So we're going to be shooting at gongs here. So for safety, everybody's going to come up to me. Dave is going to load everyone. So we're going to get all the muskets loaded, and then you're just going to rotate. When you've shot, come back to the back of the line. Bob's going to be loading himself. Werner's going to be loading himself. Patrick's loading himself, but everyone else, Dave will load, and we just keep cycling through like we did the targets. Okay.
How many are left in there? Oh, okay. Oh, so she can get a good view right from there.
Okay, when you're shooting, there's two options. We have a foot square gong down there. You'll hear it hit. You know you're going to hit it. The second option is you can shoot at Tamara's tent. So that's Tamara's tent's a little easier to hit. However,
I like my tent.
every time you hit Tamara's tent, you got to give her $20. So your choice.
No,
hit
it's
the
up to
hard
50.
gong.
No, Dave, I'm waiting. I'm not interested in doing my foot long stuff.
Damn! Yeah. Look at one of Bob's guns here. So we've got early Canadian, wherever you're in northern.
gun.
Yeah, and just bits and pieces, built on the frontier. Wooden trigger guard, no butt plate. A typical smoothbore feller that you would have seen in the 18th century in Quebec or
Forged brass trigger, wooden pipes.
he's frugal is the bottom line.
Basically.
Okay, we're ready to go. Fire in the hole.
That's how you do it.
Nice, well done, Ron. Good stuff. Nice, well done. Nice. About if you're a vise, right? You clamp that in, you point it at the target, you dial it in, it hits the target every time. But as a human, you can't hold that steady like a vise, so you're constantly moving. So the idea of a marksman is every time a gun goes off, it should surprise him. If the gun goes off and it didn't surprise you, you made the gun go off. So you did a little pull, and that little pull at 25 yards is going to change that trajectory by a foot or 18 inches, or it only has to miss by an inch, right? So as it's moving over the target, you're squeezing on that trigger. Now Brown Besses are a little bit different because it takes quite a pull. But as you're squeezing and you go off target, quit squeezing. And as it comes back on the target, you're applying pressure again. If you go off the target, quit squeezing. Now you've brought it back on the target, and then, oh, it surprised you, and you hit the target. But another little wiggle. Right down in, nice little channel there. A little powder back in this corner. You are ready to go, sir. Damn. Damn, he's a hunter. Nice.
All right, we're aiming for the bottom of that black string.